The ultimate framing guide. This is the holistic video. What are the key things you need to pay attention to when coming into this industry or even dealing with businesses in this industry? There are things that I'm going to share here that are not even common knowledge to people who say they are in the business of picture framing. So I want you to take your time, pay attention to the information, use it for your decision making, use it to run your business, use it to decorate your home. It's a guide that is going to help you to make those decisions. If you don't understand it, please leave a comment. I'll get back to you, or try reach out to me and I'll explain things to you. So let's get into the video. How do thoughtful homes and offices use framing to communicate value? This is what we're going to discuss in this guide. Most people think framing is decoration. They think it's something you do after painting, after having the furniture, after everything else is finished. But framing is not decoration. Framing is communication. What you place on your walls tell a story long before you speak. It tells people how you think, what you value to live with every day. I want to walk you through the ultimate framing guide, so your home and office feels intentional, timeless, and calm. This is for homeowners, for families, for institutions, for business executives. And if you stay till the end, you will never look at walls the same way again. I go deeper into this in a short guide I made for professionals and homeowners who care about how their home feels. You can download it for free. Check the description. Let's start here. Decoration is optional. Communication is not. Every space communicates something, whether you intend it or not. An empty wall doesn't say minimal, it says unfinished. A crowded wall doesn't say noisy. A well-framed wall often says something different. This space was considered. Framing is about intention. It's about deciding what deserves attention, space, or permanence. That's why framing lasts longer than trends, because it's not about fashion, it's about meaning. I think this is quite simple to understand. Do you pay attention to details? Your walls will tell everybody. Are the walls representing who you are? Empty walls don't speak minimal. It doesn't say, oh, I'm a minimalist. It doesn't. It just says it's unfinished. You don't have time to pay attention to the walls, because minimalism is not emptiness. So get that very straight. Taste is one of the misunderstood things in design. People think taste is expensive furniture or bold art or what's popular right now. But real taste is restraint. Homes that feel expensive are rarely loud. They are calm, balanced, measured. Taste shows up in spacing, proportion, consistency, and framing plays a major role in that. When frames compete with each other, taste disappears. When everything is framed the same way, harmony appears. Taste is not about showing everything you have. It's about showing what matters most. You have to decide, what do you want your space to speak to? How do you want visitors and family to see you through your wall? Is this an educational wall? Is this a travel or family wall? What are you going for? What are your walls saying? All these are things that the walls would speak to. Also, it's about restraint. You could have 50 family pictures, but what goes onto the wall and what doesn't? Does that mean you should have all of them on your wall? These are things that you should be thoughtful about. These are things that you should consider when coming up to design a wall, because your images and the walls are going to communicate who you are. The images behind me are pictures I took when I was active into photography. I don't need to speak too much. Once you see them, you can determine if I'm a good photographer or not. It's as simple as that. You can also tell what kind of photography I was doing. Were they portraits? Were they weddings? So I spoke about my past and how I got here in another video. You could take a look at it and understand my journey so far if you don't know what I'm talking about. This is one of those things that's easier if you have a clear framework of how things work. I've shared the framework I use in a downloadable guide. It's in the description if you want it. The psychology of walls. Walls affect how we feel than we are ready to even accept. But I think some of you would know that scientifically, colors have an impression on on us. If you enter a room with a certain color, it has a psychological effect on you. It's the same with pictures. It's the same with frames. They have psychological impact on us and our mood. Example, let's say if you have a club, because we've done some works for some high classes clubs, and the pictures they wanted us to put in their halls or their walkway were pictures of celebrities that had been to their location. It makes sense. It gives a vibe. These are things that might not make sense in your home, even though you like that celebrity. You cannot put celebrities across your hallway and expect that vibe would have a family vibe. That's not going to work. Spacing out frames gives your eye somewhere to rest. Symmetry brings calmness. You could have beautiful pictures, but how you arrange them could confuse you or disorient you anytime you enter the room. If you are keen on symmetry, a frame that is crooked would always catch your attention anytime you enter a room. These are things that you need to pay attention to anytime you are building a wall or a gallery wall, should I say. There is no need to stack up your wall fully. Creating breathing room shows you are confident enough to just place that picture on that wall. This is visual psychology, the same principles used in branding and public relations. In PR, we ask, what message does this send without words? Your walls do the same thing. What message is your wall sending without words? Your wall is your PR. You have no idea. It's the same as having a signboard in front of your house. It's the same energy, the same psychology. So when people enter your home, what is the signboard saying? Is this a warm space? Is this an entertainment space? I mean, your walls do the same thing. A well-framed wall feels stable. A chaotic wall feels anxious. An empty wall feels unresolved, like there is a lot to be done here. Why are you in this house with empty walls? It's unresolved. This is why framing is not just visual, it is emotional. So you need to pay attention to the emotions you want to evoke when you get into any space. So don't feel so stuck in your space that something is boring and you cannot change it. You can always change frames. They are not stuck to the wall. You can always change them. What to frame and what not to frame. Some people think everything can be framed. Some people think you should frame everything. One of the biggest mistakes people make is framing everything. Not everything deserves wall space. Wall space is valuable. What should you frame? Family milestones, meaningful moments, achievements, art that still resonates after years. Whilst these are very simple things to pick for a wall frame or a wall gallery, you will be shocked that when it gets to time to pick pictures for the wall frame, you might be confused. So use these guides to guide you in selecting your pictures. So with that said, what should you not frame? What should you not put on your walls? What should you avoid framing? Avoid framing everything at once. Things you are unsure about. Images with no emotional weight. Framing should clarify what matters, not confuse it. When everything is framed, nothing feels important. So you need to take the time to pick and choose what you think should be on your walls. You need to pick and choose what is appropriate at that stage. But you get my drift. So sometimes the certificates are a lot for kind of people we work with. They've accomplished a lot. And in choosing what to frame for their walls, they get confused. So this is a simple guide. Think about what your message is and what you want to send to anyone who walks into your office. If this video helped you see framing differently, then the next step is simple. Download the guide in the description. It helps you plan your walls with intention instead of guesswork. So in this chapter, we are going to just discuss a topic that is quite difficult to discuss: the frame itself. What frame should you choose? At Design, Print and Finish, we keep it very simple, straightforward, because we understand what framing is. We have about 3 or 4 frame types that we give to the client, because these frames will last and be relevant forever. We have very simple black frames, classic. We have also white frames, classic. And then we have some brown and tan frames. That's all. We make sure we do not confuse the client. Sometimes we have variations for a thicker black or a slimmer black, a thicker white or a slimmer white. We just keep it simple so that you can make your decision as quickly as possible. Frames should support the image, not compete with it. Some frames are very loud and elaborate. So those kind of frames go with simple pictures. The best frames are always the quietest. Neutral colors last longer. The simple black and white, it lasts longer than the golden mold with different designs. Simple profiles age better. Quality materials save regrets. People often overspend on frames without thinking long term. I mean, when you are investing in frames, it's an investment. You have to think long term, not about trendy stuff or what the photographer decided for you. Based on what? Simple black and white, simple even brown, simple tan, simple basic would make a lot of sense in that space and might live longer and be relevant. Borders are also very important when framing. A lot of people do not even understand what a border is. Now, a border is the card that is placed between the picture and the glass. It's supposed to breathing room. The pictures need to breathe to be able to last longer. A lot of framing companies or framers in town do not add borders to their frames. This is something that a lot of the public do not even know or consider. If you value quality, value longevity, then you should know that these are things that you need to pay attention to. Good framing protects memories. This is the part that people don't see but feel later. Glass matters. Mounting matters. Protection matters. Poor protection leads to fading, warping, and disappointment. Good protection quietly preserves the memories and they look good after years. When you frame, some people complain about glass and for the fact that glass will break. But let's be honest, there are other options from glass. If you think you have kids at home and they're going to break your glasses, that's fair enough. We could give you different materials. But let's be honest, we still have glasses at home. We have glass plates, we have glass we drink from, and all these other things, which are still living and working in our homes. They do not break. The same thing goes for your frames. Frames made out of glass or glass frames are classy. They do not fade. They do not get destroyed easily. It is a statement piece. It is aesthetic. It is pleasing to the eye. People now frame pictures without any protection, without any glass and nothing. They just frame the pictures and laminate it and then they give it to the client. This is not the best way to frame pictures. So these are things that you should speak to a professional to find a way to present it beautifully, because there are ways around it. You might not know it, but that is why we have this guide to help you. If you are giving a gift or you are receiving a gift, and you have the opportunity to decide what type of frame to choose, always go for a glass frame. Always go for a glass frame. Family walls. This is one of the most interesting topics in this guide. Family walls are a thing. A lot of clients have engaged us for family walls. You see, it's really not about the number of pictures that you put on the wall. It's about what matters most, what sends the message, what means a lot to you. In our process to come out with a family wall, we first have to have a sit down with the client, consultation, and understand what they want to create. Once we have done that and we have come up with an idea, where we have our biggest bottleneck is for the client to select and decide number of pictures or which picture to go into the frames. So they could have, say, a family wall of maybe 17 pictures, but you have over 100 pictures. You need to select 17. This is where the problem is. So I'm just going to give you simple things to pay attention to so you can make this decision. Yes, we are professionals, but we don't know your story. And a family wall is a very, very intimate thing to create. And professionals can advise. We can't create it for you and select the pictures for you. Please, you have to understand that. Family walls are emotional, which makes them easy to get wrong. The goal is not to show every photo you love. The goal is to create a calm story. Planning matters more than quantity. Consistency matters more than creativity. Family walls should feel calm, not busy. Family walls should feel warm, not busy. A good family wall invites you in. A bad one overwhelms you. Now, what is a good family wall? It's the kind of wall when you enter a house or a home, you could stand by it and have conversations for years because the family wall invites you in. It pulls you into the story and the whole wall tells the story of the family. I might not be able to do that for you if you give me your pictures, but you understand your story and you understand your journey. So please take some time out of your busy schedule and make that selection. What we might select would be based on how how quality the picture is, but maybe has no continuity. The stories will not make sense. So please understand, there are certain things we as professionals can do a lot of, but it ends at the selection. And then after the selection, we take it from there and continue. That is the only key place we cannot help you. So please understand this, and let's all be happy. If this video helped you see framing differently, then the next step is simple. Download the guide in the description. It helps you plan your walls with intention instead of guesswork. Sometimes one frame says a lot more than 10 frames. There's power in a single frame. You don't always need to do multiple frame, multiple wall galleries, and all these things. A single frame in the right spot at the right size makes a lot of sense sometimes. Large, well-placed frames create presence. They slow the eye. They command attention. This is how quiet luxury works. You don't need many pieces. You need the right piece, framed properly and placed confidently. So in offices and institutions, framing is about credibility. When you enter the CEO's office, it's all about credibility. Whatever is behind his desk or his chair or on the side of his walls, it's about credibility. Is it even his family portraits? Some executives have that in their office. It's still about credibility. I'm a married man, achieved this, went to that university, I worked with that company, and I did this, and I got that citation. It's a story, achievement, credibility, everything behind the CEO. In offices and institutions, framing is about credibility. Certificates, portraits, values, they communicate trust before conversations begin. Institutions understand this instinctively because presentation affects your credibility, because presentation affects perception. This is why framing in professional spaces must be intentional, professional. These are little things that we do not pay attention to, but it's also part of our branding, attention to details. I really stress on institutions, especially academic institutions, for these kind of perception, because they often say they are places of excellence. They groom excellent children and all these other things, perfect excellence words that they use. But then your walls are scattered. Your administration is scattered. Your certificates and awards are not presented nicely. You know, these are little things that serious people would pay attention to. On graduation days, how do you present the kids with their certificates? If they've gone through those years of learning, rigorous, and going through rigorous timetables and all those things, and they've passed, do they deserve some attention to detail in the presentation of their certificates? They need to be recognized in a special way. So I think the whole idea of just giving certificates to people, just handing it over to them like that, it doesn't speak well of any institution that still does that. I think going forward, to frame certificates in quality frames and presenting it to students is a more excellent way of awarding people. Even smaller institutions do that. So I really don't understand why universities still go by this method. They do not present it in a very nice way for their students, and it's pathetic. I think we should all do better. Another very important topic where you need to understand that it's not about pride, because I can sell the same product to you at 100 cedis and sell the same product to someone else for 1,000 cedis. So it's really not about price. Quality is quality. We are talking about quality frames. So how would you know what a quality frame is if you are not a professional? It's very difficult to tell, because even for professionals, we took the time to study what makes frame last longer. And this is just one attribute of a quality frame. It lasts longer, doesn't fade, it doesn't warp. So there are certain frames where with time you see that it can bend, especially for artwork. If you spend a whole lot in buying canvas and you want to stretch the canvas, even the wood used to stretch that canvas before framing is very critical, because what we've realized in the past is that people buy their own artwork and they bring it to us to frame already stretched. That is one step, because the wood that was used to stretch it, I don't think the artist was thinking about framing the best quality. He was thinking about his painting. So when it comes to us, we are going to focus on the frame, because the artist has finished his work and we are now about to frame it. So normally what the best practice is that we will take off the artwork from the stretched frame, because normally the frame is not the best. So we have to re-stretch it and then frame it all together. These are very simple things that if we don't discuss with you in this guide, you might miss, and you might just buy an artwork from the market. Let's say you go to art center, buy some stretched work and go and put it on your wall. You see that it doesn't sit well on the wall, because yes, you might like the art, but that is not the finished product. You shouldn't put it straight on your wall. It has to come to us to stretch it well and for us to frame it, to hold it well. So when you put it on your walls, it sits comfortably. You don't buy it straight from the artist, take it to your walls, because with time it will bend and it will not sit flat against the wall, and that's not a good look for your expensive art. Don't just buy it from the market and take it to your wall. It won't work. This chapter is about why cheap frames cost more. This is something we know in every aspect of our lives. Anything that you buy cheaply, you might have to replace 2 or 3 times. Whilst if you invest the first time properly, it will last you a long time. It's the same with picture framing. Get the best once and for all. If you are in the market looking for the cheapest product, I'm sorry, this is not the right place to be. We give the best product. Obviously, we are not the cheapest on the market. And if you listen to this guide well and you use it as a benchmark to test other framers in the market and where you buy your stuff, you would know that, well, this is why we are a bit more on the upper side, because people on the cheaper side will not pay attention to these things that I'm discussing here on this channel. If this video helped you see framing differently, then the next step is simple. Download the guide in the description. It helps you plan your walls with intention instead of guesswork.